is up, everybody? Welcome back to Unbroken Arrows podcast. As always, I'm Catherine.
And I'm Greg. And today we are just doing a special little wrap-up and introduction for our final podcast episode from the Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic held last weekend in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And we were able to produce 13 different podcasts over the weekend.
It was a busy weekend.
It was very busy, and it was a lot of fun. We also have Trey, my son, Trey Pavlik, with us this morning as well. Can you say hi, Trey?
Hello.
Just a little bit of a overview or wrap up of Pheasant Fest, or PFQC. It's easier to say. And Catherine, so what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts. It was a lot of fun. It'd be awesome to go again next year, but it's going to be in Kansas City.
That's right.
So we'll see if that actually happens. If you haven't gone before and you have the opportunity, I would definitely recommend it. There's just so much to see and so many people to talk to.
And a lot to learn.
And I still can't believe Mom got the water bottles and they wouldn't give them to me.
I got one the next day. Remember that?
Yeah. So hold on. I don't think we actually told this story. Basically, one of the booths were giving out these water bottles and I kept seeing them and I was like, I really want one. So I go up and I go, hey, I really want a water bottle. Like, can I buy one? Like, what do I have to do? They're like, oh, we just ran out. Sorry. I was like, cool. Sounds good. It happens. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm talking to this guy at the Shields booth and he had a water bottle. And I was like, dang, I really wanted one of those. And he's like, oh, I just went and got mine. It's like, what? He's like, yeah, they just came up to me, asked if I had a membership. And I said, yeah. And they gave me a water bottle. I was like, how long ago? He's like, literally like just before I came over here. I was like, they lied to me. And then Mom went like half an hour after I went and they gave her 2 water bottles for free. This is a bunch of baloney.
This seems to be a you problem, Catherine.
But I got a free hat, so.
There you go. Trey, what about you? Any final thoughts about the weekend?
This weekend was unforgettable. I met so many amazing people, heard the greatest stories ever. When I was going back and mixing all these podcasts, it was like bittersweet because I really missed the weekend and it was just such a good time. And I think my favorite part was when we were setting up on Sunday morning and it was just us in there. We were like the very first ones there and all the good music was playing and it was just you and me, or me and Dad there. And we we're just talking about the weekend and how fun it's been and kind of reflecting on what we've learned and all that stuff. And it was just unforgettable and I wouldn't take any of it back. I learned so much and all the people we got to talk to were motivational and informational.
Right.
Trey, you talk a little bit like your dad talks. Lots of long pauses.
Son, take that as a compliment.
I get it from him. Yep, yeah. I will. I'll try.
Thanks. Well,
I'll try to get better. I know.
You know, really, the thing is, Trey wasn't really formally introduced to the podcast until this last weekend. So, again, Trey wears several hats for the Unbroken Arrows podcast, and he does some of our sound mixing, and he produces the music for the show. And any of the music that you hear on the podcast is performed by Trey. So if there's anybody out there that likes what they hear with regard to the music, Trey, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I have my Instagram. It's at PavMadeIt. It's PavMadeIt, PavMadeIt on Instagram. And then my email is prodbypav@gmail.com. That's PRODBYPAV@gmail.com. That's my music production email, business email. And then my Instagram again is at PavMadeIt. You can find me everywhere under that name. And again, thank you, Dad and Catherine, for letting me do all the music and sound for you guys. I appreciate it.
Well,
thank you for doing it for us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd just be me beatboxing in the background.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, it's it's also one of those proud papa things too, Trey. I know that this was a dream of yours from a long time ago. I mean, you started playing guitar at a young age, and it came easy to you. At the frustration of your siblings. With music, it came, everything you did just kind of came easy to you, and it frustrated everybody. But and you worked hard at it, and you've produced some music and a lot of songs. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about that? That might be something that you want to include.
Well, I've been producing since I think it was halfway through the freshman year of college. I just didn't have a way of listening to what I played, and I pulled up GarageBand on the iPad, and I could play back what I recorded, and I just thought that was so cool. And then when I got to college, I downloaded it on my phone, GarageBand, started making beats, and that ended up being really fun. And I was pretty much just copying songs that I liked. And then that proceeded into me getting my equipment and starting out with Dad, your old high school laptop that he gracefully gave me and let me pursue music on. But then it just kind of developed into me doing it as kind of a part-time job. And I have a great team out of Boston, and I've been producing for them for, I think, the last 2 years. And I've worked with some of my favorite artists that I've ever had in my life, which is a blessing on its own. And I get to meet new people all the time, work for new people, and inspire others, and get to display my talent to the demographic that I prefer to, which is artists and the people who enjoy the music that I've been making. I appreciate them all. I've been pursuing it as much as I possibly can and working really, really hard at it. And I think doing the podcast music was a pretty good outreach for me and a good opportunity. And I appreciate you guys allowing me to do it for you. I'm very happy to help in any way possible. And I think what you're doing is amazing too.
Oh, thank you. And like I say, we do appreciate it, and I guess we like it.
Yeah.
And this weekend you were able to highlight, we usually use the same intro and outro, and you were able to highlight some of your other music. So again, any of the listeners out there, Trey gave the information. So, well, to wrap this up, we're going to, as I said earlier, we're going to upload or publish our 13th, our final podcast on Thursday at our regular time, which is like 5 a.m. in the morning. So if you're listening to this, you're one of the early birds, I guess, listening to it. But that podcast was Sean Adams from Wings of Valor Lodge here in Parker, South Dakota. And it's a very, very moving podcast, in my opinion. I had a lot of emotions running through me during that. And again, it's a way to honor our veterans, and that's going to be our final podcast from the Pheasant Fest weekend. So with that, I guess you're going to hear us sign off, and you're going to hear the intro music to the Sean Adams podcast, everyone. So special thanks to all of those folks at Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. And we had a great time meeting so many new people, new acquaintances, new friends is what it really comes down to. And we hope that, in a certain way, we hope that people were able to be moved by our story as well. So we'll continue to move forward. We got some great feedback from folks. So
thanks, everyone. It was a blast. I guess it just really, I was talking to Nate last night, and I was like, I really think that this might go somewhere. People were so supportive. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone for being so supportive of this.
I firmly agree with you, Catherine. And thank you to everyone at Pheasants Forever. This experience was, like I said, something very unforgettable, and I hope to do it again.
Well,
amen.
Amen to that. Right. So for Trey, for Catherine, and me, we'll sign off from this little intro, and until next time. Welcome to the Unbroken Arrows Healing Through the Hunt podcast. I'm Greg, and I'm here with my son, Trey. We are at the 2024 Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic. We have with us right now Sean Adams, and Sean is the president of the Wings of Valor Lodge located in Parker, South Dakota. Sean, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Sean, could you tell us a little bit about the Wings of Valor Lodge and why you're here at Pheasant Fest?
Well, Wings of Valor was actually established in November of 2019 with the intent to impact veterans from abroad, mainly from any walk of life, any theater of war. We didn't want to sit at the table and talk about different types of criteria. We felt that the criteria that you raised your hand and signed a blank check, that was enough to be able to come and hunt and have a decompressed weekend at the lodge. And so, in 2019, we, myself and the CEO and landowner, Bruce Weller, was riding on a gator on the back of the property and kind of just talking about how he loved the veteran hunt that he established with birds, bucks, and berries at the previous name of the lodge, as a private business. And he always hosted a yearly veterans hunt, and he probably did it up to about 16 to 18 years prior to 2019. So, between 2000 and 2003, roughly, is when he started doing that. And he loved that. And so I said, well, he's had conversations of life decisions, and I said, well, we could make every day the best day of the year. We could develop a nonprofit, and it's something I can help with, and I understand mostly the basics of the nonprofit world. And the main thing is just raising money and making people understand your brand, and that you do what you say you do.
Sure. Sean, what's your story?
So my story is I joined the Marines out of high school down out of Georgia, where I still live currently, and went to Paris Island in 2010-11, and fast track forward through all the training courses and getting assigned to a division, and then pushed out to Afghanistan in 2012. And February 10th of 12, I got blown up on a reconnaissance mission. We were out scouting the terrain and kind of trying to figure out where exactly the blind spots were for the Taliban to use for their advantage. And we went to a known laid IED area, and sadly, I took a wrong step and got hit that day, and started a recovery. And then November 1st of 2014 was my last official day in the Marines, and I went home and was trying to figure out a new normal, and trying to figure out a new life directive, kind of a purpose for tomorrow. And did a lot of public engagements for foundations like Garrison East Foundation, Simplify Fund, some Yellow Ribbon Fund stuff. Did a couple of Luke's Wings events, and the list goes on. And just trying to find my niche.
Right.
And I met someone, had a long relationship, had a house built, just all kinds of things started falling in place, and then people, trying to transition people in and out of my life, people coming in for a season, understanding that people sometimes are just that, they're seasonal,
Sure.
They're not meant to be there forever. And that's hard, because sometimes you fight so hard to hang on to someone, and you try to show that, you're not perfect, right, by any means, but we can work through this, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And you have to, steel is made, the process of hardening it is just tempered. And sometimes in order for you to have the willpower to overcome anything, you have to be tempered. If you look at it from a biblical sense, you ask God for different things in your life, and sometimes you have to go through a season of hardening. You have to go through a season of, you ask for patience, you ask for wealth, you ask for all these different things in life, and some things are kind of materialistic, and some things are real genuine things to ask for as a young man and young woman, in different parts of your life. And you ask to be strong. Well, it's going to give you some hardship, and
it's not going to make it easy.
No, definitely not. And then sometimes you wake up at the age of 19, 20, and you're missing your legs, because last thing you remember, you're getting on a helicopter, and you wake up in a hospital a week later, and your life is so different, and you can't even comprehend it, because you're still doped up on medications, and you're pretty much in an induced coma. And so when you come out of it, you've hallucinated. You see things that aren't there, and you see the look in your family's eyes. You see the look in people. I was dating someone at the time, and you kind of see it in their eyes. So, it's overwhelming, and so going through that, it taught me a lot about you got to have a purpose. And I've always said that veterans coming out, combative veterans or non-combative veterans coming out of the military, they pretty much need a purpose for tomorrow. And sometimes that purpose can't be mom, dad, girlfriend, wife, children. Sometimes it takes living for the guys you lost, and then sometimes using children, living for your children for a little while until you can find yourself again. But eventually, you have to get past the medications, get past the alcohol, get past any type of recreational uses of different things to help you get through the day. And you have to understand that there's three things you need in life. Not outside of the purpose for tomorrow would be a roof over your head, a dependable vehicle, and a workplace. That workplace may be monetary, or it may be for other purposes. And I think it's where nonprofit work kind of come into play. And nature itself is a natural healer. And I like to, I've always said that using hunting, you are planting a seed. You're a farmer. Mm-hmm. You're planting a seed for tomorrow to garnish the wages of tomorrow's fruit. And I think that, you look at meadows, you look at different disasters that happen. There's a horrible thing that took place, but there's always something green that comes afterwards. There's always a renewal that takes place. Sometimes it may take years for it to happen, but mostly destruction always brings the purpose, which is a reunite of nature to itself. The meadows bloom next year after the fire every time.
That's right.
And I think a lot of it just takes someone to come in there and be the wielding hand. And sometimes it takes people around you. Takes you to reunite yourself into biblical standing. And sometimes, biblical standing ain't where it needs to start. Right. Sometimes, I've had a lot of veterans I've had to say, look, we'll get to the biblical side later. Right now, I've got to get you to understand that tomorrow's coming, mm-hmm. and you got to face the same thing you're facing right now. It's just how you're going to handle it, and get them away from the hard drugs. And sometimes you get them from one drug to the next, but eventually you got to get them on that right path. And I think what helped me a lot was just talking to World War II veterans mostly. They came home from years of war, not months. They came home from seeing body bag after body bag after body bag within the hour, being stacked up of people they just met minutes ago. They saw the destruction and degradation of mankind in the ways that we will never will. And they came home to a broken family, a broken country. The world was in turmoil. The world was hurting. And our World War II veterans came home and they redefined the family. They redefined, to me, fortitude. They redefined how to come home, and you just do it. Just come home, and you're not broken. You got to come home. And that's where Wings of Valor and organizations like it have to come together and support our future veterans, because it's war is always coming.
Right.
So,
right. It's not going to go away.
No, it's going to get worse.
Mm-hmm. So at the Wings of Valor, what's the experience that one would have if they went to the Wings of Valor Lodge?
So the standard experience would be you'd come in on a Thursday, mid-afternoon, mid-evening time frame. You'd have dinner waiting for you at the lodge. You'd be meeting veterans coming from across the country, or if it's a unit reunion that we set up, seeing your peers from service in the past. And we'll have a representative at the airport to pick you up, and you'll show up at the lodge, and any type of gear you requested on your application process would be ready for you in an assigned room. Each room would be a climate-controlled environment for that select veteran and what they may need. And depending, like I said, depending on what their requests are, will also dictate what side of the lodge we put them on. We have the meals prepped, 3 meals a day. And then Friday morning, you'll get up at your own leisure. It's just a matter of, breakfast will be served between 7 to 10:30. And then we'll have a clay shooting time to where we can get you acclimated to shotguns and moving targets. And just make sure that you're going to be comfortable in the field with a lot of commotion going on. From there, you come in for lunch, and then we go out about 12 o'clock, 12:30 for, we have a brief at both segments, the clay and the hunting. And the first day you will experience a European hunt. It's where a tower is in the center of a big circle, and every 10 birds we rotate to a new station. And it gives the capability for people that it may be in wheelchairs or any type of mobility impairments can still be involved and not feel like they're trying to be, the group's having to wait on them. That's not the case. The European style hunting came into play when COVID hit. So we had to do something that would keep us within regulations of different types of, government oppression, as I called it. But it kept us alive. It kept veterans out of the house and in nature's great outdoors to keep healing every day. And from there, you'll have dinner time. You have a couple hours after the hunt. Usually, the hunt concludes about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And from there till dinner, you do as you please. Walk around the hunting grounds. We have different meditation areas. From there, you have usually ribs or something nice and high protein at that evening. Then going into the next morning, it's very similar to Friday morning. And then Saturday morning, breakfast will be served. You have your clay shoots. Then we'll go out about 1 o'clock to hunt after you have lunch between 12 and 1 o'clock. And from there, we do a traditional walk-in block style hunt to where we have different type of application vehicles to where if someone needs assistance, can't walk long distances, missing limbs, whatever it may be, we're able to assist them to get from one side of the hedgerow to the next. And we have groomed fields that are pretty eased for any type of apparatus to work, any type of wheeled vehicle, tracked. We pretty much set the fields to be able to accommodate that. And you'll come in from the hunt, and from there you'll have a ribeye dinner that night, and you cook your steak to what you wish it to be, and you leave Sunday morning at your selected flight times. And you'll probably leave 5 to 10 pounds heavier. Definitely eat a lot.
Nice. What about support services there while you're there? Or do you find that one of the things I shared with you about the Take the Vet fishing program that we interviewed a gentleman by the name of Mark Richardson, and my father-in-law is very active here with the American Legion here in Sioux Falls. And one of the common threads that I hear in the conversations that I have with these folks is that, when you get a fishing pole in your hand or you're out in the field with a gun, you start conversations. And those conversations can be healing conversations. Are those the experiences that you've had as well?
Yes, that's a very similar setting that we try to set. We found some experiences I had from Walter Reed to present day is, getting veterans together and allowing them to talk may do more in a couple of days than what they've done going to different types of visits with doctors and medications have done in years. We've heard that same thing from Vietnam era veterans talking about, I haven't talked about Vietnam since I left, and that lets you know that you're doing the right thing. It lets you know that it works, and it may not be the same, I guess you say, the application for every veteran, but it seems like it works pretty well. Even majority of our hunters have never hunted in their life, and we've seen that they found a new beginning in the great outdoors, and I think that's a breath of fresh air that's needed. And I think we've had veterans come out and not even hunt; they just go out there and hang out, and that's the hunting is just a drawing point that we use to try to circumvent the veterans to come to us. But truly, we've had weekends that we couldn't hunt because of weather. Sure. And the veterans had just as an impactful weekend.
Okay. How about you? Were you a hunter?
Yeah. Growing up, I grew up in Georgia. Obviously, that's where I reside now, and the outdoors in some form or fashion, may it be working at a farm or working, cutting grass, whatever, something outdoors was there. And, unbeknownst to me, I had no idea that was going to be a healing process that was going to be applied to my life at some point. I had no idea.
Right.
You know.
Okay, Sean, you shared with us that any veteran from any theater would be welcome to come to the Wings of Valor Lodge. And how does that process, what does that process look like for a veteran that might be interested, or a family member that might be interested for their veteran to attend?
Well, they can visit us at wingsofvalorlodge.org, and we have electronic capabilities for them to apply and provide us appropriate paperwork we need to verify their veteran status. And, you know, we don't make that too complicated. It could be something as simple as a VA card. We just got to, you know, make sure that they are a veteran. It's not a fraudulent application, and they can call the lodge directly, and we can do a manual process if need be. I know some people don't have capabilities with internet, so we still take paper type applications, and a lot of times our applicants have come just word of mouth. So,
Sure. What about the cost of the time that a veteran would spend at the Wings of Valor Lodge? Is there a cost associated with that?
there's not a cost to the veteran. We do average probably $3,000 to $3,500 usually per head by the time we get everything done.
Okay.
But we provide them with everything: clothing, shells, license, shotguns. We vacuum seal the birds, clean them, tag them, everything. All expenses paid. The veteran literally will pay for nothing the time they leave their front door, the time they get home. And from generous donations and donors around Sioux Falls and from across the nation, it allows us to bring veterans in from across the nation and locally at no expense to them.
Okay. So if somebody is listening to this podcast and they want to donate to this program, how do they do that?
Well, they visit us again at wingsofvalorlodge.org, and they're able to go in there, and we have a big donate button, and they can donate in multiple different ways. We've had people send us checks and handwritten letters, and we do our best to respond to them. That way they know that someone actually received it.
Sure.
And that someone actually cares. They took time to write a letter.
Okay.
So.
What about is there a need for volunteers at the Wings of Valor Lodge, and if someone was interested in volunteering?
Oh, yeah. Volunteers are always great to have. We have a very strong volunteer base, and we have people coming in from Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota sometimes, and they come and stay the weekend, and or they drive up for the day. And anything from preparing food to making sure the veterans have water, to handing them shells on the line, to helping guide if you have good dogs. We have a process we have for guiding dogs as well. And if we give you the thumbs up, say, hey, yeah, you can come and run your dog after we kind of watch them in action, then it's. But the biggest thing is come out there with a free spirit to serve veterans, and do whoever's needed to do that.
And how many? What's the average, say, weekend?
Usually 8 to 12. We can do up to 16, I believe. As far as bed space, we privately sleep plus an ambassador for the weekend, 9 people. Okay. So that's privately slept beds, but we do have capability to allow people to share a room if they know each other or serve together. Yeah.
I know with having all these veterans there, what's the, like around the dinner table, like what are those conversations like? What's the emotions must be everywhere. I mean, what are some of the things that you take away from those conversations, even like just hearing random bits and pieces, everything like that?
Yeah, so a lot of times what I've seen is people sharing their experiences with each other. Sometimes we try to navigate the groups to where they served similar places or time frames, so they have something that's kind of common between them.
So you cater to everything.
We do. Yes,
that's amazing.
We make it seamless for the veterans completely.
What you do is amazing. Being part of that must be crazy.
It's a lot of work. It
sounds like it.
It gets tiring.
Very worth it though in the long run, for sure.
Yeah.
So how much time do you spend up in the Parker area then if you live in Georgia?
So when we first started, I was up here pretty much every 4 to 6 weeks, year round. It was nuts, but now I'm able to delegate and have people take pride and take some I guess you say some skin of the operation. And we have great people that have come out there, and some have come for a short time and some have stuck with us the whole time. I mean,
And with anything that grows, so do the people that grow with it. And I'm able to put people in a departmental setting, and they're able to kind of do their own little thing. And I've got one gentleman helps me book veterans, and another gentleman helps with get the volunteers going. And we have our vice president, Scott Red. He's retired lieutenant colonel. He lives in Sioux Falls, and he helps with a lot of the paperwork stuff. And then myself and Bruce, and we kind of during the season and during fundraising time, like March 21st is our fourth annual gala, and we are wide open to try to fundraise for that. We've got 2 tables left, to sell for that. So we're trying to pack the house and allow people to be a part of us, and we're already selling tables for next year.
Okay, and is that in Parker then?
Nope, it's right here, over at the Alliance across the street here.
Oh, sure.
And
been there many times.
Oh yeah, so we're getting to the point of where we're getting too big for venues at different locations. So we want to always try to incorporate veteran institutions, establishments with everything we do. I don't feel that one organization has the answer for all. But I do think that if we can work together and find the common cause, which is the veteran, that's where it should be.
Right. Now, the gala that you're talking about that's coming up, 2 tables, you said?
We have 2 tables left.
Okay,
yep.
And how would somebody, if they're listening to this podcast?
Yeah, they reach out directly to us, the lodge, at the website. They have the main lodge's phone number there, and you call us up, and we will... I do believe the tables start at $2,200 for 8 seats, and there's a lot of things that come with that.
Right.
And then they go, you become a pillar sponsor in the $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 range, and you get so many acclimates to that as well, and you're able to get your name on a big stone out there, so veterans can come by and see that you were a part of establishing something great for 50, 60 years from now.
Well, one of the things as I was visiting with you before the podcast, one of the major tenets of our podcast is supporting our veterans and our active military. And a program like this is something that we would be very happy and honored to promote and get the word out whenever needed. So, Sean, if there's ever a time that you want to update us on things that are going on at the Wings of Valor Lodge or activities or fundraisers that are going on, we'd be honored to have you back and record, whatever we needed to do, kind of a public service announcement if that's what's necessary. But,
that's fine.
We'd be honored.
Well, we do appreciate that, and we, by April 1st, we'll have over 500 veterans that we've had to come through our door, and we've had the capability of, to this point, see veterans go from not talking to talking. Mm-hmm. We've been able to hopefully establish the bond with veterans to keep them from suicidal, the thought process of suicide. Try to show them that, with something that's so temporary and you make a decision like that is so permanent, right, and you leave so many behind. Mm-hmm. And I think that if they don't have family at home, Wings of Valor can become their new family, and get them involved and have them come up. You've had a couple of veterans that had those types of premonitions of themselves and their life, and we tasked them with bringing a group together. Mm-hmm. And that just for the year, that's all they talk about. Constantly texting me or emailing us, and hey, I got another vet. I got 4 more to complete the group. It just gives them something to look forward to.
Right.
Absolutely. So we are developing ourselves into an alliance, mm-hmm, to where we can bring other organizations that are like-minded from across the country under one banner, and we are branching out to Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be able to have this alliance of organizations to keep veterans in our care for hopefully 12 years.
Nice. So as I mentioned before, my father-in-law is very active in the American Legion, and one of the things that he works very hard at is to talk with veterans that aren't signed up for the types of services that they are eligible for and they deserve. And part of our sign-off on our website, nearly every episode, we talk about dialing 988 if you are in crisis, and if you or someone you know is in danger of suicide, call 988 for the assistance and the support that you can. And that particular service also has, if you dial 1 after that, you are, if you're a veteran, and it goes directly to Veteran Services. So I'm not exactly sure how I can say this, but for what you're doing and for what the Wings of Valor Lodge is doing, it's a service to those that have helped protect our country, and there is no greater job that these veterans can do. Any veterans that's not even coming out right there either. But sorry, my emotions are getting to me, Sean. I'm sorry.
You're good. I would just say that freedom is not paid by taxation. It's paid by blood, sacrifice, and
yes, sir.
I think that we've seen that in the annals of history, men and women standing in that gap between life and death, whenever that time may be asked of them. And I don't think at different times we get complacent as a country, and our leadership gets complacent of such a debt to be paid. And I just hope that for generations to come after mine, that they are willing to pay the same price.
Right. And I hope that the general public and organizations like the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign War and the auxiliaries. I am a new member of the Sons of the Legion based upon my grandfather's service, and I think that's one of the situations that all of us need to become more active. We need to volunteer. We need to help. And I think it's one of those things also that we owe it to them to do what we can to thank them for what they are doing and what they have done. Sean, I want to thank you for taking the time to come and visit with us. We hope that our listeners are able to respond in kind and make them more aware, whether it's volunteering or if it's able to send a monetary donation or just spread the word about what Wings of Valor Lodge is all about. So thank you for being part of this podcast.
Thank you, sir.
No, thank you guys.